This is the Patriots Drive Podcast.
We are all Patriots.
Where we discuss, analyze, and answer questions to all things happening in the NFL and with our New England Patriots. Now, here's your host, Cole Kelly.
Let's go!
Welcome into another edition of the Patriots Drive Podcast. Patriots take on the Buffalo Bills, division rival in Buffalo. Bills Mafia is going to be there. It's going to be some football weather, rain, snow, wind. It's going to be chilly. It's going to be a heck of a game. Biggest game of the year so far for this team. It's going to be a big prove-it game. If they win this football game, we're squarely in the conversation of, hey, Pats are back, and where are we going to be seated in the playoffs? Because this team could have a chance at the 1 seed if they end up pulling this game off. So it's going to be a fun one. It's going to be an important game. Lot of meaning in this game for both teams. Bills don't want to lose this. Pats don't want to lose this. Winner of this game goes to first place in division. If we win, we stay at first. If the Bills win, they move up to first place. So it's going to be a big game. And we play the Bills again in a few weeks. So getting this win on the road in Buffalo would be absolutely huge. Big confidence booster going into the bye week, feeling good, have a week of rest, then go play the Colts in Indianapolis, and then come back home and play the Bills again and try to do it all over again. So should be a fun one. Going to be a really fun game to watch and one of the most important of the years, especially so far. So should be good. But I'm here with my co-host, Jace Campbell. How's it going, Jace?
It's going good. I'm excited. Bills fans are shaking in their boots, man. They thought we were done. They were telling us last year that we had to enjoy 20 years of Josh Allen dominating this division like Tom Brady did. And in the span of one off season and a draft pick, well, a couple draft picks, the Pats are right back on the brink of being firmly in the driver's seat, like you said, to win this AFC East battle. So I'm excited. After a 6-game win streak, there's no better test than to go on the road Monday night, primetime. Everyone's going to be watching against the Bills. Young quarterback Josh Allen, who's led them to the AFC Championship game last year, who's won the division with them last year, who, has them pretty much in national spotlight every week because of the plays he makes and the ability he has. So I'm excited. Every game I feel like the last couple of weeks we've thought have gotten bigger and bigger. The Browns one was big, took care of that. Thursday Night Football showed how great our defense was, took care of that. Titans game was big, took care of that at home. Just talk about games getting bigger and bigger and more meaningful. This is one of the most meaningful games that I see on the schedule right now, especially on the road. You go take this one up there in Orchard Park. This is going to put the NFL on notice for sure. So I'm excited as heck to watch this one, especially on Monday Night Football. You get everyone watching you. It doesn't have to be an 11 o'clock kickoff or 1 o'clock kickoff for you East Coasters, where everyone has 5 other games to watch. This is the only game on Monday Night Football, and I guarantee it's highly anticipated.
Yeah, it's going to be a heck of a game. I mean, big prove-it game for both teams. The winner of this game puts himself in a really good spot for the rest of the year, and it's going to be tough going up to Buffalo and with that crowd, that atmosphere, that weather, all that stuff. Good thing is Pats practice outside every day, and they're getting some of that weather right now. So this is going to be a different test, though. If it is raining, it's going to be sloppy. It's going to be loud, extremely loud. It's going to be the biggest test so far for Mack in his career. So it's going to be a big proving game for him as well. A lot of experience. It's going to be a big experience game for him. First game with real crowd noise. I mean, he's had some games on the road, but I mean, the Chargers game was basically half Pats fans, so that wasn't anything crazy. And then the Jets, that wasn't crazy either. And this is going to be big. The fans in Buffalo know how big this game is. They don't want the Pats to win. They don't want the Pats to be kings of the division after only 1 year off. That's insane to think about. That the Bills fans, if I was a Bills fan right now, I would be pretty upset, and I'd be praying that they win this football game, because it's huge, not only for the Bills in general, but the Bills fans. Because I mean, that's got to not feel great having 1 year of success, little taste of, hey, we just went to the AFC championships, and the Patriots are dead. Next year, Pats make a draft pick, sign a bunch of guys, and they're right back in it, and they're leading. You can't let them go into your home and win this football game. So it's gonna be tough for both teams. Bills really do not want to lose this football game because it puts them in a tough spot. They'd be 7-5. We'd be 9-4 going into the bye week. We would be having a more recent bye week. We'd get more rest. Then we have the Colts and then the Buffalo Bills again at home. So they want to take care of business at their place. If we go win this game on the road, sets us up great for the rest of the year, great for the playoffs. And I think this team's already extremely confident, but I think that just will take it to the next level, saying, hey, we can compete with the best of the best. We've beaten all these teams. This would be a 7th win in a row on the road, hostile environment. If we're really road dogs, we got to go do this. This is the big test if you really are road dogs or not. So it's going to be a heck of a game to watch, and everybody should be tuning into this one.
Yeah, undefeated on the road right now. You mentioned it. Keep it up. A lot of people want to be undefeated at home, but if you can be undefeated on the road, that just puts you at more impressive. And you kind of have to be with how New England started 0-3 at home this year, 0-4 at home this year, even worse. And now you got to make up some games on the road. So I'm excited to see them go play in this hostile environment. You called it. Orchard Park's looking like 38 degrees and light snow, rain, whatever it is. And you hit on it. Both teams are going to have to be able to run the ball. New England in the last 3 games averaging 141 rushing yards per game. Buffalo 114. And I think a lot of those come from Josh Allen scrambles. Because if you look at how many rushes per game, like true rushes per game, Buffalo's not nearly up there. Buffalo's in the bottom half of the league at 25 per game, and that's gone down to 23 in the last 3 games. So they're averaging well under what New England is averaging at. New England's right at 30 per game. So we're averaging about 7 more per game in the last 3 games. And you'd like to think if it's going to be cold and rainy, that it's going to play into New England's advantage if they do have to run the ball 30, 35, 40 times this game. Because Buffalo doesn't want to do that. They want to get it to Stephon Diggs, Dawson Knox. They want it to be in Josh Allen's hands. They don't have the firepower, the 1-2 punch like Damian Harris, Ramondre Stevenson. They have Zach Moss and Devin Singletary, who can definitely do damage, but they're not going to – I would not bank on them winning the game for them. They want Josh Allen to have the ball in his hands. So if it turns into a running fest, you got to, 1, hold on to the ball, protect it, don't put the ball on the ground, and give the Buffalo Bills short field, because they will take advantage of that. And 2, you got to be effective on it. You got to keep those yards per rush up. Got to keep it right around 4, ideally 5, and take their will. Buffalo's been a very good defense, sound or integrity wise, keeping their gap integrity. They don't make many mistakes, but New England has some dogs up front with Trent Brown, Shaq Mason, Ted Karras, Isaiah Wynn. I hope to see some 6 lineman personnel with Michael Winu and just trying to pound the ball down their throat and establishing their dominance early, especially at home, maybe take the crowd out of it a little. So I'm excited to see what this run game can do this game.
Yeah, for sure. And talking about kind of the Bills' ability to run the football, pass plays, they run 65.8% of the time, run plays 34.2. That compares to our 42.6% run plays and 57.4 pass. So it's clear that we run the football a heck of a lot more than them. We're much more of a balanced football team, and it's going to be a big factor in this game, especially if it's rainy, if it's wet. The biggest thing in this game is going to be get an early lead and run the football, because it's going to be hard to come back from behind, especially in a hostile environment. If you get behind versus the Bills and you let them start to run the football a little bit and just control the football game, it's not going to be a recipe for success. So it's going to be huge seeing which team can run the football. I don't expect the Bills to really be able to. They don't ever really do it, but we saw what happened last week. We didn't expect that to happen. So, I mean, we got to really shut down the run game and focus on the pass. And if we make them more one-dimensional than they already are, if we get a little lead in this game, make them throw, I think Belichick will be able to do his thing and shut him down, even if we are missing Kyle Duggar. So that's definitely a big loss, and we'll get into that more in a little bit. But overall, the team that can run the football better is probably going to win this football game, as long as the weather stays what it is. I mean, it's a big factor. So we got to really establish the run. It's going to be tough. This Buffalo defense is really good against the run and really good against the pass. I think we saw last week Buffalo's better against the run statistically than Tennessee was, and we really struggled last week against Tennessee. So it's going to be a tough challenge. It's going to be a big game, but if we can run the football on this team, have some success, put 6 linemen out there, run it with Mike Owenu, and if Trent Brown has a better game than he did last week, then it could be an upset, and it's going to be a heck of a game either way. Seeing how it plays out, seeing Bills, he doesn't want to lose 3 games in a row to the Bills. I mean, he got swept last year versus the Bills. You could see he was extremely frustrated on the sideline, throwing his tablet. I think the only other quarterback he lost 3 games in a row to in his career with the Patriots was Eli Manning, and that's the only other time he's lost 3 games in a row since 2000 with the coach as the coach of the Patriots. So he doesn't want to lose this one. Pats don't want to lose this. Pats fans don't. They want to be back as soon as possible. It's going to be an extremely important, extremely fun game to watch.
Oh yeah, I'm excited, and if it does turn into a game where Josh Allen is dropping back and passing the ball, I love our ability to get to the pass rusher. New England, their last 3 games leads the league in percentage getting to the quarterback in sacks. Sorry, where did this stat just go? Oh, here it is. Sack percentage. We're getting to the court. We're sacking the quarterback 11.34% of the time, out of 100. So say 1 in every 10 dropbacks, New England's getting home and getting to the quarterback on a sack. You take the flip side of that and you look at Buffalo, who's been good all year. Josh Allen only has 3 sacks on the year. He's only been pressured 19 total times. 6 of them hurries, a couple QB hits, things like that. Buffalo's only allowing a sack 4.9% of the time. So, 1 in every 20 dropbacks. So, Buffalo's offensive line can hold up. I look for Judon to take advantage and, get his, and Barmore to be more effective on the interior. But this team doesn't give up many pressures to Josh Allen. And you can say that, they don't give up many names to Josh Allen because Josh Allen is such a good scrambler. And we talked about this last time. You're going to have to be able to keep him in the pocket effectively, keep your pass rush lanes so that he can't scramble and get 10, 15-yard gains, especially on third downs. That's the thing that worries me is, playing man coverage on third down and not having enough eyes on Josh Allen where he can just kill you running the ball. So it'll be interesting. Bill will be prepared for that. They know that Josh Allen is ready to run the ball, when he needs to, and he's not afraid to do it. We've seen him make big plays with his feet for years now. So it'll be interesting to see how Bill counteracts that.
Yeah, for sure. And I agree with Steve here. Bills for the first time in a while, full healthy O-line, best run stuffer should be a challenge, but it will tell us a lot about the Pats, which is a good thing. It certainly will. This game is going to tell us a lot about both teams, whether we like it or not. I mean, if we lose this game, it's going to tell us a lot. If we win it, it's going to tell us a lot as well. So that's what makes it so interesting. We're going to learn a lot from this football game. And up to this point, we kind of think we know what this team is right now. But after this game, we're going to know for sure. And that's what's so exciting. There's so much meaning behind this game. If we pull out this upset, and depending on if we beat them handily or if it's close, we pull out a close win in the end, that also shows, hey, we can win close football games in hostile environments. That's big. It's going to be big for if we make the playoffs, depending on where we seed, all that stuff. So this is a huge game. And the Bills certainly look like the healthier team right now, just with a couple injuries for us, and a couple guys have some nagging stuff that they're dealing with, and then Duggar on the COVID list. I know they just lost Tre'Davious White, which is a big loss for them, and that's super unfortunate. But overall, their O-line, their defense is kind of getting healthy and the band's starting to be back together for them. So it's going to be a tough game. There's not a lot of necessarily holes in their defense that we can take advantage of. They're good against the run and the pass. It's just going to be about which team can be more physically dominant at the line of scrimmage and who can win consistently. So it's going to be fun. I mean, there's a lot of comments about this Bills team maybe being soft. So if the Bills could beat the Patriots this week and be the more physical team, that's going to be a big confidence booster for them. So this Patriots team really has to take it to them, make them show that they are soft and kind of just pound the ball down their throat and then take advantage on the play action when you can. which this Buffalo team is good against play action as well. So there's going to be no easy aspect of this football game. It's going to be very tough to stop Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen. It's going to be hard to contain him in the pocket. It's going to be a big game for Judon and even Barmore getting pressure up the middle. Everybody's going to be sound in their technique and their rushing lanes and all that stuff. So it's going to be a tough football game, but I mean, I'm super excited. This is the most anticipated, meaningful matchup in the regular season in probably the past few years that I can think of. This game has a lot of weight behind it.
Oh yeah, it's massive, and the fact that it's on Monday Night Football, both teams playing for the number 1 seed. Everyone knows the story of the Pats. Since they started out 2-4, won 6 in a row. Everyone's aware of the Pats right now and their successes. Everyone knows what the Bills can do with their successes. Last year, making the AFC Championship game, how they started this year, and how potent their offense can be, and then kind of falling off at the end. So teams are both looking, hey, can New England sustain what they've been doing and dominating teams, or is Buffalo going to bounce back from the 2-2 record that they've had the last 2 weeks after starting off the season, 5-2? They started off 5-2, and then they've gone 2-2 the last 2 in the last 4 weeks. So teams are looking to see who's the real deal in the AFC East. Who's going to step up and who's going to be the clear one. And if I have to give an edge, I'm giving it to Bill Belichick any day of the week. I mean, I get it. The Bills played last Thursday night on Thanksgiving. They had 3 extra days of preparation. They got to watch the Patriots play the Titans. But when you got a mastermind like Bill, I mean, Bill has something in the back of his head for the Bills. He's been planning on. He knows this game. Swept by him last year. Should have beat him once at least without a fumble. I mean,
that was in Buffalo.
It was in Buffalo, exactly. And then the last game of the year in New England, absolute debacle, blowout, wasn't even close. So Bill's had this game on his mind for a while. Not saying that he's not focusing on these other games, because obviously he is, and we've been winning them. But the locker room's going to be ready for this one. They're ready for this test, and Bill's going to have some game plan up their sleeve. So I'm excited. The one thing that does worry me is looking at their third down conversion percentage. Here we go. Buffalo leads the league or is second in the league, only behind Kansas City in third down conversion percentage. They're at 50% on the year. Last 3 games, 56.6%. New England's at 48% third down conversions in their last 3 games. So, both teams are getting continuing drives on third down, which is great to see. And then if you go look at New England's defense, this is where I think we get the upper hand. We're getting off the field 24% of the time on third down. So our defense has a very low third down conversion percentage, and our offense has a very high third down conversion percentage. So who's going to give there a little? Is our defense going to hold and eliminate Buffalo from extending drives, or is Buffalo's defense going to eliminate our offense? Because Buffalo still is a lot higher than ours at 41%, but that's still, not horrible. I mean, you get up in the 50s, that's horrible. 41%, you'd like to see it be better. But when you have an offense like Josh Allen and them, and you can push the ball down the field effectively, you just got to give them the ball, and they could score in 3 plays. So it'll be interesting to see how Buffalo and New England go back and forth on third downs, because if you can extend drives, take time off the clock in crappy weather, rain conditions, and limit the ball in Josh Allen's hands, that might be the best defense in some way.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, that's what they've done with Kansas City is, hey, we're going to keep the football, we're going to run it, and we're not going to let your quarterback have a chance to get themselves back in this football game. And we've seen it with the Patriots. They've shut out Patrick Mahomes in the first half, and then kind of he gets the ball back in the second and catches up sometimes. But overall, with good quarterbacks like this, that's what you got to do sometimes. Sometimes you might not have a ton of answers on defense, but if you can make the critical plays like on third down and stuff like that and get them off the field, and then if you can have an effective run game, that's a recipe for a Super Bowl. That's have a good defense and a good run game and play well in key situations. That's what it's all about. So it's going to be a heck of a game. It's going to be a heck of a challenge for this Patriots defense. And they look real right now. And this is going to be just another opportunity for them to show themselves and say, hey, Buffalo's offense, they've been good this year, one of the best in the league, and we can slow them down. So it should be fun. They can't run the ball very well, like we talked about, so that shouldn't be a big problem that we're gonna have to focus on. But this passing game is good. They got Dawson Knox, Stephon Diggs, and company, Emmanuel Sanders, and all those guys. So it's gonna be tough, but it's gonna show a lot about this defense, and not only that, but this offense as well. It seems like Buffalo struggled with zone coverage recently, so that might be one thing to take advantage of. The Patriots played a lot of zone recently, so that's one thing I'm looking to keep an eye on, seeing how Bill Belichick and this team kind of tries to match up against Josh Allen and these talented receivers they have.
For sure. The other thing here that looking at, and we talked about making it a run game where if the weather or if the conditions aren't favorable to throw the ball, 40, 45 times a game, and you do have to run the ball. You look at both these teams top in the league at takeovers or turnovers per game, forcing turnovers per game, takeaways. Buffalo leads the league at 2.3 per game. New England's right below them at 2.1. If you look at the last three, it's an even 3 takeaways per game for New England, 2 for Buffalo. This is what kind of surprises me is, we all know New England's had their problems holding on to the ball. But they're only in their last 3 games, they're only allowing 0.3 turnovers per game, not even 1 turnover per game. And Buffalo up here is at 2.7 turnovers per game. So almost 3 turnovers per game by their offense. Look for New England to take advantage of that. Get the ball on the ground. If Zach Moss, Devin Singletary have it, look to get a strip sack on Josh Allen, maybe force him into a bad throw down the field where he's trying to force something. Take advantage of that. New England's great at getting forcing turnovers, getting short filled. I credit, a lot of New England. I think there was a tweet that came out. It was like 49% of their drives have resulted in touchdowns this year. A lot of that's because of how well the defense has been given what good field position. Yeah, have turned into points. Sorry, not touchdowns.
But I think 25% of that is touchdowns, which is like one of the top in the league as well, which is impressive. They've had their stretches of being good with that, but go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, given our offense short fields to work, we saw that in the Falcons game. We saw that last game against the Titans. Like, you get turnovers, you give us short field. With the way Nick Folk is kicking the ball right now, it's almost a guaranteed 3 points if you get past the 40. And hopefully, against a good Bills team like this, you punch it in the end zone and get 6 points and make the PAT for 7. So look for us to take advantage of Josh Allen's, I wouldn't call it reckless, because I think that he's a good reckless where he's confident he can throw it downfield and push it downfield, but he's also going to throw it downfield and give us opportunities, maybe like we saw with Jameis Winston against the Saints. We just didn't take advantage of those. So look for New England to be ready to continue to take the ball away too, hopefully 3 times this game.
Yeah, and a stat to kind of back up what you just said. Mack Jones turnover-worthy play percentage is 2.5%. And Josh Allen's is almost 4%. So quite a bit higher than even a rookie quarterback who struggled with some early turnovers. And he had like 3 against the Saints that one game. And he's been a lot better since then. So Josh Allen, I mean, he's great. He can extend plays and make something out of nothing sometimes, but he can also force something or try to make a big play while he's getting sacked and maybe fumble, stuff like that. So especially in these sloppy conditions, if the ball's wet, it's going to be even harder to hold on to that football, and ball security is going to be a big thing. That's the biggest difference on this win streak is Patriots right now have a plus 13 turnover differential in the past like 6 games or whatever. That's best in the league. And that's why they're winning football games. Like we talked about, we stressed it so much early in the year. And that was why we're losing games. We were like, hey, if you win the turnover battle, I think you said the stat, it was like 90%, 80% of the time you're going to win the football game. So that's going to be huge. If we can force a turnover or 2, it's going to help us tremendously, where a game like this, 2 great defenses, it's going to be huge. Every point matters. Even if we can't get 7, I mean, 7's going to be preferable, especially in a hostile environment. Every touchdown is going to be huge, but 3 points on the board is not going to be the end of the world either. You just got to put up points. You got to put up a fight and make this team beat you consistently in this weather, doing things that maybe they want to just keep passing the ball. It's raining. You never know what happens. Ball can go through a receiver's hands. We saw it against Seattle week 2 last year. It just went through Greg Olsen or whoever's hands, and D-Mac picked it off, pick 6. And that wasn't even bad conditions. So stuff happens. Everything's tougher in the rain and with cold, snow, all that stuff, bad conditions. So we got to take advantage of any opportunity they give us.
Yep, take advantage of that. Get short field. Score touchdowns in the red zone. 2 for 5 last week. Got to have that be better. But let's move on. Quarterback stats here. Mack Jones just recently named AFC Offensive Rookie of the Week, or Rookie of the Month for November. Congrats to him. JC Jackson also got AFC Defensive Player of the Month. But Mack Jones right here, 70% completion percentage, almost 2,900 yards, 16 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. Josh Allen, just below 67% completion percentage, over 3,000 yards already, 25 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. Obviously, Mack Jones is right up there throwing yard for yards, but when you look at the touchdowns, it's, Josh Allen might have a little bit better receiving core, and Dawson Knox is playing great this year. A lot of guys haven't really thought about him as a top tight end, but he's playing like one so far, touchdowns, receiving yards wise. Stephon Diggs, we all know he's a top 5 guy when he's playing at his potential. Emmanuel Sanders has always been a good guy, solid receiver in the league. So I'm excited. Yeah, Cole Beasley, right? For the used to be on the Cowboys. They got some guys out there out wide that he can throw to, and with Josh Allen's arm, he can push the ball downfield. So I'm excited to see these two quarterbacks battle. You got two young guys who are going to be in the AFC East for a long time, and this is the first time meeting, the first time they're going to play each other.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, honestly, Josh Allen has, what is it, 391? So he has like 20 more attempts than Mack Jones. Mack Jones is up there in yardage with him, but the touchdowns is where you see the difference. And that's what's tough, especially a rookie quarterback with a run game like this. I mean, Josh Allen throws the ball a heck of a lot more, it seems like. And even in the red zone, they don't really hand the ball off too often. That's why Dawson Knox is tied with Hunter Henry for most touchdowns in the league for a tight end. And then Stephon Diggs is doing his thing like he does every year. He's a super talented receiver. That's going to be a big challenge. And I think this is going to be a big day for JC Jackson. This is going to be a big prove it. If he can lock down Stephon Diggs and get a win on the road, that is going to secure an enormous bag of money for him this offseason. And hopefully it's with us. Hopefully we can keep him, but you never know with Bill and corners. He pays some of them, he doesn't pay others. So it's tough, but I mean, Mack is doing solid. That he's keeping up in most of the numbers with some of the top quarterbacks in the league, and it's going to be fun. Josh Allen is obviously extremely talented and can extend plays, but like we talked about, that creates turnover sometimes. He has 2 more interceptions. I'm not sure what the fumble numbers are, but also Josh Allen, yardage wise, probably has a heck of a lot more rushing yards than Mack Jones, and that's not factored in here. This is just passing yards. So that's one thing I didn't take it into consideration with this, but it's going to be tough environment. Buffalo's good, heck of a football team, a lot of weapons. Like we just talked about, Dawson Knox is having a career year. Stephon Diggs doing his thing, and even Cole Beasley and Sanders, they're both guys that are reliable. But I think the thing that I'm concerned about the most is one of the first drives that Buffalo had against the Saints on Thanksgiving. They ran the football, and Josh Allen took what was given to him. He took the underneath throws and just chipped down the field. And if Buffalo does that, I think it's probably going to be a win for them, which is unfortunate. But if we can force Josh Allen to try to be patient the entire game, and eventually guys like that usually get tired. Gunslingers want to throw the football down the field. And if he can't stay composed the entire game and he gets frustrated, starts slinging it down the field, taking risks, that's a big opportunity for us. So it might be a hit or miss for him. But overall, if we can force him to try to make the short underneath throws the entire game and be patient and methodical, that's not what he likes to do. So that's going to be a big challenge for him to consistently do that. And if he does, it's going to look good for Buffalo. But if he can't, and he can't be patient, and they just run the football and go methodically down the field, it's going to be a rough day for us.
Yeah, if they get the run game going like Tennessee did, I'm going to be pretty worried. Just their passing game with the weapons they have out wide and Josh Allen at quarterback, it's a lot more than what Tennessee had. So if they get that going, that's a little scary. But Stephon Diggs, this year, you talked about it, JC Jackson, newly AFC Defensive Player of the Month, in for a big contract, but he kind of got torched by Stephon Diggs game 2 last year. And I looked for him to match up most of the day with him in man coverage. Stephon Diggs only has 240 of his, I don't have his full numbers here, but only 240 receiving yards against man coverage, 488 receiving yards against zone coverage. So put JC Jackson on him, and I think that he's going to I don't think JC Jackson's going to eliminate him. Now, that might be me, I don't know, because I think Stephon Diggs is so good, but JC Jackson's been playing great. You've seen his coverage numbers. Last 4 games, he's allowed like 2 completions, had 4 interceptions, and a couple PBUs. So I'm not discrediting JC Jackson, but I think Stephon Diggs is that good of a receiver. So I don't think that you're totally going to take out Stephon Diggs out of the conversation of this game, but I think that JC Jackson is 1,000% a good enough cornerback, and he's going to want to prove it this week and earn his money, earn a big payday, and say, hey, I can guard anyone in the league. It's not just guys that are, brink top 10 wide receivers. It's any receiver, Devontae Adams, guys like that. Stephon Diggs is as tough as a guy as you can cover. His routes are very, very good. His releases, He can run the whole route tree. He has great hands, strong hands. So I'm excited to see J.C. Jackson come up and battle against him and, eliminate him. Because you take Stephon Diggs out of the passing game, yeah, they still have guys that can catch it, but no one's as big of a threat as Stephon Diggs is. So you have a guy like J.C. Jackson on one corner that can shut down Stephon Diggs for most of the game. I feel pretty comfortable about the rest of the passing game and how that's going to go.
And we saw what he did to Lattimore last week in the red zone. He absolutely lost him. So, and that's in short field. So he's a tough guy to cover. But overall, I think we mentioned it. Josh Allen has struggled recently with zone coverage. And if you look at some of their receivers and tight ends, their weapons numbers versus zone coverage, Stephon Diggs is pretty even. His receiving grade is 81.9 versus man and 78.9 versus zone coverage. But everybody else, if you look at it, there's quite a drop off. It's pretty average numbers versus zone coverage, which is kind of a trend that you've been seeing recently. And so that's one thing to watch out for. Also, 1, 2, 3, 4. Looks like 4 interceptions versus man coverage for Josh Allen. And let's see, where is it? 2, 6 in zone. So he's a little more susceptible to turnovers and in zone coverage versus man. And overall, the receivers haven't been as good because Allen's kind of been struggling with that zone coverage. So that's one thing to kind of keep an eye on is if the Patriots have been playing man this or zone this well and they've been playing it this often, if they continue to do that, that might be a recipe for success against this team. If they can, again, make him take the underneath throws every play and just chip down the field methodically.
Yeah. I mean, and I gosh, I got to pull this one up now. I had this stat. I think that Buffalo is last in the league in yards after the catch at like 4.2. That might be a rough estimate, but I remember seeing this on I'm trying to find this yards per completion. That's not it. It's going to be yards after the catch. I'll try to pull it up, but I'm pretty sure I saw something that they were, if not last, bottom 3 or 4 in the league at yards after the catch. And so the receivers really aren't doing a great job. And, you look at Emmanuel Sanders, Cole Beasley, they're guys that are up there in age, and not saying that they're not great players and they still can't catch the ball, but teams have had success in getting them down at first contact. They're not breaking tackles. They're not running 50 yards down the field. So that's going to be a key, especially if they are throwing it short. Rally up, tackle, make it third. If it's 1st and 10 and they get a short one, make it 2nd and 7, make it 3rd and 5. Like don't miss tackles and then give them a 20-yard gain. You got to continue to wrap up and make plays in these short and make it into 3rd and longs, instead of 3rd and shorts, because we just read off the 3rd down numbers. When you get into 3rd and 3 or less, it's much higher of a chance. And the playbook opens up a ton more, especially if you're in 4 down position. If it's 3rd and 3 and you're like, oh, we're going to go for it on 4th down. Well, let's throw a shot or something, or let's run it here. And then we'll, dial up a 4th down play and see what we get. So the playbook opens up exponentially if it's 3rd and 3 or less compared to 3rd and 7. So yeah, let them throw down these dink and dunk passes, but rally up, tackle, make the plays. Don't let them get into favorable 3rd downs.
Yeah, for sure. And defensively, offensively for us, a big thing is going to be trying to make them miss tackles, because they don't really, seems like defensively, the Bills are pretty good at making the tackles and not letting people, I don't know the stats for it, but based off the film, it seems like they are pretty good at making tackles and not missing many. So overall, that could be a key offensively, is trying to make them miss. If we can do that and get ourselves into those favorable positions, it's going to be good for us offensively. So that's one thing to keep an eye on as well. Like we just kind of mentioned, though, this is going to be a huge game for Mack. His communication with Josh McDaniels and with the offense, the offensive line, the wide receivers, all that stuff is going to be a challenge. I know Belichick supposedly makes practice louder than any stadium would be sometimes, and I'm sure they're working on that a ton this week. There's a picture today of McDaniels with his headset on and at practice with Mack today. So I'm sure they're going over that. I'm sure they've been doing it all week and probably most of the year, but this is going to be a true test. What he can do under pressure, one of the most hostile environments he's probably ever played in cold weather, which he's not used to, in rain, in probably some snow. It's going to be a big challenge. It's going to be a big test game for him, but I'm excited to see how he responds and how he bounces back, because so far, any challenges he's been faced with, he's passed it with flying colors, and he's stood up to the challenge, and he hasn't backed down from anything. So I think that's going to be another key to the game. And I just want to touch on this comment real quick. Do you guys think Duggar being out is going to be a huge issue? So personally, I think it's a bigger issue than Jace does. I think Duggar has had a great year, and he's our leader in tackles. He makes a ton of plays in the run game. If we want to have a dime package out on the field and they want to run the football, it's going to be a lot harder than with Duggar usually up there and playing at that linebacker position and scoping out the run. Even like if they do read options, do some stuff with Josh Allen. I mean, Duggar was great against Lamar. He had his best game of the year against Lamar last year, where he was all over the place. He was flying around, chasing Lamar all over the place. In the run game, he was huge. So I think that's a huge key. And also Dawson Knox, especially in the red zone. Dawson Knox has been a monster, and he's been a reliable target for Josh Allen all year. So seeing what Duggar has done with Kyle Pitts and some of the tight ends recently, he's been great. He's been his last like 3 or 4 games, he's been extremely productive, and he's been miles better than he was last year and even early on this year. So I do think it is a big loss. I think it's definitely going to hurt us, missing our leading tackler and a young talent who can fly sideline to sideline, especially with this Bills offense that has a lot of speed. I think, like you said, rallying to the football and not letting them get many yards after the catch. I think Duggar's one of the biggest guys at stopping that. We've seen him blow up plays in the backfield, blow up guys on swing passes, screens, little dink and dunk plays. And yeah, that's one of our best guys at doing that. So I definitely do think it's going to be a big loss, and hopefully he can be healthy, test negative twice and step on the football field, but it's not looking good. Even if he does test negative with COVID symptoms and all that stuff, guys don't always play a lot. So if he does play by chance, it's probably going to be in a limited fashion, which is unfortunate because I think he plays a huge role in this big football game.
Yeah, and I don't want to sound like I'm saying that it's not a big deal. I've seen too many times where New England has a guy that, especially in the secondary, that's going to step up and fill his role. Now, I don't think they're going to do it as effectively because, like you said, he's a leads the team in tackles. He did a great job against Kyle Pitts. He does so many things tremendously, and I personally think that where you're going to see an impact, because he's played a ton of defense snaps, but he's played like 35% of special team snaps. So the guy doesn't just do it on defense; he does it special teams wise, and it might take 3 or 4 guys to replace what he does defensively and special teams wise instead of just having him out there. So you're going to see more players being used. You're going to see different schemes, and I think it's a loss. Don't get me wrong. Like, I don't think that you can replace him, but I think that we've seen too many times with Bill in New England where they're going to find a guy that can do that role, or they're going to change their game plan, or they're going to do something different and, play to their strengths. They're not going to let this whole COVID thing with Kyle Duggar ruin their chance at winning this game. So I think it's a big loss individually, but in a team standpoint and where I see Bill Belichick looking at it, it's always been the philosophy, next man up, right? Like, I don't care, do your job, next man up, whoever it is, you're going to go out there, you're going to win it for us. So yeah, they might not do it as effectively, and I think you're going to see it hurt, but I don't think it's a make or break thing. You talk about if JC Jackson was out, that might be a make or break thing. Judon's out, that might, you might not see many pressures, but with Kyle Duggar out, he just does so many things solid. I don't know if he does many things great yet, but he does a lot of solid things. So it's just going to be a total different aspect of guys out there doing things and how they cover it. So I think it's a loss. I just don't think that it's, a huge issue.
Yeah. And I don't blame you for that. My only concern is, well, the one good thing is that we have Adrian Phillips, and he's great. So we have 2 safeties out there if we want them, but a lot of the times we see both those guys on the field. We see McCourty, Phillips, and Duggar. All those 3 guys play their own kind of special role and can do different things. And that's why, we get so many different guys who are versatile in that secondary where it's tough for defenses to really understand what's going on. We could send Duggar on a blitz. We can mismatch coverages. It can be man-to-man. It can look like zone, and then Duggar can take the tight end. There's a bunch of different things we can do with those 3 different safeties. So that's what makes this team versatile. But my only concern is, all right, yeah, we lost Duggar. Okay. But we also traded Gilmore. Jalen Mills has been solid recently, but up and down at times. We lost Jason McCourty from last year, who played a crap ton of our snaps, like 50, 60, might have even been higher than that, % of our snaps last year. So at this point, Jonathan Jones is out as well. We're relying on Miles Bryant, Jalen Mills, JC Jackson, and then, who's going to replace that Duggar role? Say Mills does. Okay, Mills is better at safety anyways than corner usually. Okay, so then our corners are who? JC, Miles Bryant, and then one of the young guys that
Jawan Williams.
Jawan Williams,
guys
yeah. So Jawan Williams filling Kyle Duggar's role doesn't really make me feel that great, especially he struggled against tight ends at times. So I don't know. I just don't love any replacement that we have for him. If we still had like Gilmore and it was losing one of our depth corners or one of those guys, I mean, that's a little bit different, but I just think Duggar plays a unique role that no one guy can fill. I do think he's great as a run defender. I do think he's great at tracking the quarterback and flying to the football and making some big hits. You don't want to come across the field on Kyle Duggar. We saw Humphreys do that last game against the Titans, and he definitely regretted it because he was on the sideline for a little while and he was not looking like he felt very good. So I do think it is a big loss. I don't think it's like necessarily going to change whether we win or lose this football game, but I do think it's going to change. I do think the score will be changed without him on the field. I think it's going to affect us in some way, at least. It's definitely a loss.
Yeah, and the guy that I look at, and we haven't heard much from him this year, but a guy I look at that possibly could come in and fill a Kyle Duggar role is Shaun Wade. And he has not played a lot. He's only played, like, I don't know if this is the answer. I'm just throwing out things out there. He's only played 16 snaps this year with New England. He
was active for the first time last week.
He played 9 last week. He played 7 against week 11. That would have been against Atlanta on Thursday night. And those might have been special teams. Oh no. Yeah. He played 4 at corner and 3 in punt return. And then last week he got 7 defensive reps and 2 on punt return. So he's seen very few defensive reps, but New England went out and traded for this guy. He's been on concussion for a thing. This might be a game where Bill's like, hey, you haven't done anything all year, but I'm going to throw you out there because you're 6'1".
Game of the year.
Yeah, right. You're 6'1", 195. You have some safety experience in college. You kind of got toasted when you played wide corner in 2020 against Devontae Smith in the national championship, but you had some success when you played slot corner. So maybe they throw him out there and see what he can do against Dawson Knox. Now, I don't think that he's going to be out there and, just absolutely kill it and run away with the starting job or something, but look for guys like that, haven't contributed a lot for Bill to look at and say, hey, it's your time to shine. Go show me what you got. And if he sucks, he'll probably be cut next week, but we might see him getting a chance. So that's just a guy I look at, someone that, we've talked about early in the show, when the season first started, when we traded for him, bringing in a little bit of depth, and a guy that has shown potential, fell in the draft to the 5th round. He was slotted to be a first, second round guy early in the season last year. And then he fell to the 5th round, and Baltimore traded him to us once we had put Stephon Gilmore on IR, and now he's traded. So I look for a guy like that to maybe step up and, just see what he can do and see if he's, ready to play.
Yeah, for sure. And personally, I don't think one guy can fill his role. I think we might see a collaborative effort from Jawan Williams, maybe Shaun Wade, and then who knows? Maybe, Miles Bryant has played some safety in preseason and stuff like that. So maybe he swings in at different points. It's gonna be fun to see how they replace him. But I don't think it's a single one guy, one for one, because Duggar plays a lot of snaps and he makes a lot of big plays. So I think they'll have to split that up between a few guys, and hopefully they find out what works best. And late in the game, third, fourth quarter, they can roll with the same thing and hopefully have success with it. And hopefully it's not too much of a loss. But I definitely am concerned about it. It's really, really tough seeing biggest game of the year, our leading tackler and one of our young up and coming players who's made a big impact recently. Biggest game of the year. We're having some COVID problems, and that's really unfortunate. It's just, just shows what COVID's done so far. And it's another thing that, circumstance you can't really control. It is what it is, but it's really unfortunate to have it happen this week. Couldn't happen against the Jets when we won by 900 points. Couldn't happen against Cleveland or anything like that. It's so just coming at a poor time. So it's definitely unfortunate. It's definitely going to be a loss.
Yeah. I think that it's going to be a loss. And we're obviously going to see how great of a player Kyle Duggar is. I'm not going to ride off ship and say this is a make or break thing, because we've seen it before. New England's going to find guys to replace him and get by this week with a W, and then he'll come back and he'll be right back to where he was. And, maybe we'll see a decrease in snap count because he's got to get conditioning back up or something like that. But, it's the Patriot way. You trade a guy, you cut a guy, you have a guy injured, next man up. They don't make excuses. So it's always kind of fun to see how they, come in and have these guys fill the roles. But unless you got anything else for the pregame, do you want to move on to hot takes? I know Pat Scout IG isn't here, but that doesn't mean we're skipping the segment.
Oh boy, hot takes. All right. Do you got any off the top of your head?
Off the top of my head, I'm going to go Stephon Diggs under 30 receiving yards.
Wow.
JC Jackson, this is a money game. Give him his money under 30 receiving yards.
That's a hot take. I'm going to go with Judon strip sack for my first one.
Okay.
Wind could at times reach 40 miles per hour, according to some reports. Can't rely on field goals. Allen can throw the ball through some wind, but the downfield passing may be affected, which may still help New England. Yeah, I agree. I think the worse the weather, the better for us, because we're more of a rushing team than a passing team, and they're more of a passing team than a rushing team. So it's definitely going to play a factor. If the wind is that much, then you're right. We can't rely on field goals, but Nick Folk has kicked in a bunch of conditions. So there's not many kickers I'd rather have in that type of weather than Nick Folk. He's been Mr. Consistent right now, and I'm sure he's kicking throughout all the practices, through the rain, through the wind. I'm sure anytime it's crazy weather, I'm sure Bill has the biggest smile on his face and is like, all right, perfect. This is perfect practice for if we have these conditions in a game. So I'm sure they're going to be prepared. But yeah, that certainly affects anything 40, 45 yards plus is definitely going to be a question mark. But it just plays another factor in this game. Scoring points, any points are going to be valuable, because any points you get, even a field goal, is going to have to be earned.
Yeah, Josh Allen's 52% completion percentage. If you take away all the, no names, CJ Beathard, Brian Hoyer has 100% completion percentage past 20 yards. So mark that. But Josh Allen's 52% completion percentage past 20 yards is only behind Tua, Kyler Murray, and Joe Flacco, who really only has 2 starts and only 5 attempts downfield. But Josh Allen's has 50 attempts past 20 yards, and he's completed 26 of them, 52%. So yeah, they want to throw it down the field. I mean, we're not, we know that he's going to push it downfield to his guys. And yeah, if there's winds that are that heavy, it's going to be hard to get the ball. If the ball gets up in the air on a 50 yard pass, it's going to be moving, and it's going to be hard to track the ball. And especially if you get a front wind or a tailwind, you got to put some more on it or take some off of it. So yeah, the game, the weather conditions are totally playing into
mark.
Oh yeah, and it's a question mark. You never know what it's going to be, but it's totally, if all this stuff's true, obviously Buffalo plays in snow just like we do, but how Buffalo's offense wants to operate is they want to be a good weather team. They want to be able to throw the ball, spread it out, throw it down the field on you. They don't want to have to run the ball 30, 40 times a game. And that's why New England is built so well, is because if they have to do it, they can do it, and they can do it effectively. So yeah, that'll be interesting to see. But do you have another hot take?
I'll go with Ramondre out rushing Damian Harris again.
Okay.
I mean, I guess that's not super hot based off kind of the past couple weeks, but I'll say out rushing, and obviously I guess you'd say out receiving him as well. Kind of a mild hot take, I guess, seeing how he's been performing recently.
All right. I think I have one right here. I'm going to go Jonnu Smith, leading receiver.
Yards after catch, some short
yards,
gains, and
yes,
have him run after the catch. Okay, I like that.
I'm gonna go yards after the catch. I'm gonna have him getting open a little bit more. Buffalo, maybe without Tre'Davious White and guys like that, want to sit in a little more zone, and they already play a good amount of zone compared to man. When you think of who are the man heavy teams in the league, Buffalo's not really one of them. So maybe Jonnu Smith takes advantage of that. Play action passes, has a breakout game. I'm gonna go with Jonnu Smith, leading receiver.
No touchdowns for
him? No, I'm not going to answer.
Not that confident.
I'm not going to answer.
All right. Man, I mean, these are tough not to repeat, especially when the game's such a question mark at like weather wise and all that stuff. I'll say Jacoby gets his second touchdown. How's that?
Okay, I like it.
Is that hot enough?
Yes, that's.
Oh, geez, Trevon Diggs just got a pick
again.
I don't like seeing him get picks, because that just lowers everybody else's Defensive Player of the Year awards chances. JC Jackson been balling out, so Taysom Hill, what are you doing? What kind of throw is that?
What's the score right now?
20-10. So our pick's looking pretty solid.
Yep. Okay,
that we haven't revealed yet, but
for my last hot take, let's make a sizzling one.
Oh boy.
Brian
Hoyer throws for 350 yards.
Well, then you're just insinuating Mack Jones gets hurt. Why would you do that?
I didn't say that.
Yeah, that's what you mean.
I'm saying Mack Jones is throwing for 550 and 6 touchdowns, and we're going to blow him out by so much that Brian Hoyer comes in and has himself a day.
Oh my gosh. Is that okay? That's your hot take. Let's go.
Can you imagine Brian Hoyer throws for 350 yards?
It's tough because I'm thinking of like what I want to pick for the over-unders, and I don't want to like contradict myself, in a way, but I'm going to go New England 4 rushing touchdowns on the day with the weather conditions. That might mean Mack Jones gets 0.
I don't care.
But I don't care. I'm going to go 4 rushing
Mack Jones
touchdowns
has all 4. You don't know.
Yeah, maybe it's 4 QB. Well, I mean passing touchdowns. So maybe we get no passing touchdowns, but I'm going to go 4 rushing touchdowns for New England.
All right. I don't have any more. That's it. That's all I got.
Yeah. Usually 3 is good, and try not to repeat, but that's good. Rest in peace, Pat Scout IG. Not here with us today, but
no, it's all right.
Gone, but never forgotten.
Yep.
All right. Bills, Patriots. Bills currently a 2.5-point favorite Monday Night Football. Cole, what do you got here? What?
I'm going to go with the Bills.
Yeah, I know you are. Boo.
I'm going to go with the Bills. Kind of semi-superstition thing, but also just tough game, tough environment, home field advantage, Bills Mafia. It's going to be a tough game. Boo. I hope I'm proven wrong, and I hope they pull this off, because if they can, this team is for sure legit. But this is the last test. Like, this is the last straw that I need to see them prove. And then I'm in. I'm convinced they've been playing really good football, and if they play like they've been playing, they should win this football game. But I don't know. Buffalo a little bit healthier. We're missing a couple guys, and also just more time to prepare and get ready for this game at their home place. Their weather conditions they're probably used to at kind of this point playing there, and it's kind of been a crappy week for that in Buffalo. So I'm gonna take them to cover this one.
All right, New England did not come all this way from 2-4 to drop the game that means the most before their bye week. So they cover this. They're getting it. Cole, you use reverse psychology. You say the Bills are going to win because you know the Patriots are going to win. But
come on, don't blow my secrets. Don't blow my secrets. You're gonna jinx it.
I'm just trying to make you look good. I'm just trying to make you look good here.
All right. Well, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, and then I have the Patriots covering here, the 2.5-point spread. Over under 43 points, lower than what we've seen, but you expect it. Weather conditions, game like this. It could be over, it could be under. Oh, well, obviously it's going to be one of them, but you can see it both ways, right? If it's good weather, it
could be over, but it also could be under. It's probably going to be one of the two, but we're not positive. It could be right on the money.
It could be 43. It could
exactly.
Be. No, well, what I mean, like if it's good weather, I feel like 43 is low. If it's bad weather, 43 might be high. So you see where this, over under is set at, and then you go, what do you think the weather's going to be? And you cross your fingers, you're right. But what do you got for the over under here?
I got the over. I almost changed my score prediction to a little bit of a lower score, but that was also right at 43. And I don't know. Bill's offense is talented, but there's 2 great defenses. So it's kind of, I don't really feel great about this one because I feel like it could be a low scoring game, especially depending on how bad the weather is. So I don't love this pick, but I'm going to go with the over.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go with the over too. I think 43 points with how we're seeing the Patriots play, and weather could be a factor, but with the way that New England's playing offense and Buffalo can play offense, I'm going to go with the over here. I'm going to go. This is a shootout. Well, not a shootout. You're not going to see 50 points, especially with the weather reports, but really this is one team scoring 30, the other team scoring 15, or both teams scoring 20, and I think that's in the realm of possibilities, even with bad weather conditions. So we're both going to hit the over on this. I agree with you on that one. And that leads us to, no.
Do we want to do the records?
Well, usually we do that after, right?
Oh, okay. All right.
All
right.
Might as well. I already showed them. Sorry. We already said it. Cole doesn't have us covering. He doesn't have us winning either. That's ridiculous. You believe that? I have us going with a 4-point victory, 28-24, New England right here. It's going to be a barn burner. I don't expect it. I'm not naive. I'm not going to pick a blowout. I hope it is a blowout, but I'm going to go with a close game right here. New England Buffalo battling it out, a classic Monday Night Football primetime game, AFC East edition. I love it. I'm excited. It's going to be a great game, but I'm going to go New England with the 4-point victory.
I hope you're right. I really do.
Well, I
I'm
am.
just
It's going to be right.
well, I am. All right.
It's going to be right.
I hope so. Oh, it's gonna be such a fun game to watch. I'm extremely excited. I'm gonna be extremely nervous as well because it's a big game, but I don't know. I guess I'm going Buffalo, but I don't know. I don't love it. I don't know. It's hard for me to explain my thought process and stuff like this because the way my brain operates with picking games with the Patriots involved is just different than other people's. I can't really, if I throw it out there and well, I guess you know my thoughts on it, but
yeah,
I'm I'll go with the Bills on this one, but
I think we all get it. Like I think that most Patriots fans are nervous. I'm nervous. Like I'm not saying that I'm not nervous. I'm confident, but I'm nervous just because I know how much the game means and a bunch of other things. Buffalo, as much as we don't want to believe it, I mean, this is still their division off of last year, and they still might be, the team to beat in the AFC. Maybe not as of late, but as of the season, that's who everyone had in the AFC. Them and the Chiefs.
They're crowned until somebody takes that crown at the end of the year. So it's going to be a big opportunity for the Pats to do that, and I hope that we do. And if we do, I can't wait to watch it because Monday night I'm going to be in a very, very good mood if the Patriots come out on top.
Oh yeah, well we all will be. So do you want to? So that's our Patriots Bills predictions. Do you want to give the score updates for our over under and stuff?
I don't really want to talk about last week's score predictions, but
you don't have to.
I guess we can if I have to. Over under on the week, I went 4-3. Jace went 5-2. Spread predictions, I went 3-3. Jace went 4-2. So on the year, I am 30-27 on the over unders, and Jace is 29-28. Okay. And that above 500 now. There you go.
Yes.
Spread predictions, I'm 30-20. Jace is 26-24. And then score predictions, Jace was closer. So we both have 4 wins on that on the year.
Okay. Well, it's a close race in every category. So that's good. But
till this week when I go 12-0.
Yeah. That means that the Bills are winning because you just chose them. So
last week. Okay. 11-1.
There you go.
11-1. Last week when I was going back and seeing what we picked for the picks or whatever, I said at one point, I was like, well, one of us is going to have a great week and one of us is going to have a very bad week. Yeah, and I started off like 0-3. I was like, okay, I guess this is the bad week. This is me having the bad week. Jace, you were like, at one point you were like 5-0 and then you got the last few wrong or something like that. But yeah, I was like, wow, he might not miss a single pick. At one point you had like 10 straight in a row of between the over-unders and the spread predictions. I was like, oh my goodness, he might not miss a pick this entire week.
That would be nice. So let's get into our player picks, our player props. Mack Jones right here, averaging 237 passing yards per game. Had a great game last week, 310 yards. I have it at 230.5 yards for Mack Jones.
I'm going to go under on this one.
Okay.
Weather, running the football, all that different stuff. Tennessee last week, 310, but since then, his last game with over 230 passing yards was against the Jets. So not something we see often. This team likes to run the football, and I think if he goes over this passing wise, that might mean we're trailing and we might have lost the football game. So hopefully he doesn't have to throw for many passing yards because hopefully the run game takes care of it.
Agree. I'm going to go under here too. I mean, it might be close here, but weather conditions, running game. I don't want to have to. I mean, if he throws for 310 yards, that's great, but I don't want to have to bank on that, and I want our run game to get going more than it did last week. So I'm going to go with the under here. Also, other quarterback, Josh Allen, averaging 279 yards per game. He hits that pretty regularly. 260 yards last week, 209 yards against Indy, 366 against the Jets. I have his line set at 275.5 yards.
I'm going to go under as well, just because kind of conditions again. And I mean, he hit that 3 weeks ago. He hit that against the Jets as well. And then last time he hit that before that was week 6 against Tennessee. So he's kind of hovered around that range mostly overall throughout the year. But I just think that hopefully we can kind of force him into some shorter throws, eliminate the deep ball, and with the weather, hopefully we can run the football, control the clock, and control time possession and make this a shorter football game with the ball in his hands. So I'm going to go with the under on this one.
Josh Allen's career average per game, 232. Obviously, that's been up a lot in the last couple years. His career average against New England, 210 yards per game. I'm going with the under here. Bill, this defense, they have a plan for him, and he's going to go under that. Moving on to the receivers, the pass catchers. Kendrick Bourne right here, been on fire for New England. Been, our leading receiver, had 2 touchdowns last week. He is currently averaging 52 yards per game. But the last 2 games, 61, 2 touchdowns, 42, 98, 34, 38. I have his line at 56.5. So a little higher, but he has been going off. So what do you got on this one?
I want to go with the over, but I'm just going to stick with the weather and the unders, and I'm going to go under on this one. I think he has a chance if he gets targeted a decent amount, but I think also the Bills have seen what he's been doing in this offense, and they're starting to realize, okay, this is a guy that is a target for them in certain circumstances. And last week, if he didn't have that run after the catch, he wouldn't have had the 61 yards. So it would have been quite a bit shorter than that. So I'm going to go with the under.
I'm going to have confidence. I'm going to go with the over here. I think that he's one of the few bright spots. Nelson Aguilar, unless he catches a deep ball, and I'd take Kendrick Bourne getting 56 yards of, short passes and yards after the catch, then of Hail Mary to Nelson Aguilar for what we've seen. So I'm going to switch up a little. I'm going to go with the over. I'm going to say Kendrick Bourne continues to ball out there. Next up, not Kendrick Bourne, Stephon Diggs. We all know the things that he has done. I have his at 71.5 yards. He's averaging 77 yards per game. 74 last week, 23 the week before that, 162 against the Jets, 85 against Jacksonville. What do you got?
Jace, I like the confidence that you have. I wish I could have that same confidence in them, but after this game, then that'll be confidence time for me. But if we win, of course, if we lose by like 30, then that's not really going to be a confidence boost. But I think I'm going to go with the under. Again, kind of repetitive, but weather conditions, and Bill takes away your best weapon. He's their best weapon. I know last year it wasn't really that case, but you got to think about the horses we have this year compared to last. So I have a little more confidence in what we can do. And I think if the Bills are going to win this football game, Belichick's going to make them throw it to Cole Beasley and Sanders and maybe even Dawson Knox to beat him. But I don't think Bill's going to let Stephon Diggs beat him.
Last I checked, and I'm not very good at math, but I did pass it in college, 70 is less than 30. And my hot take was Stephon Diggs under 30 yards reception. Yeah, that's crazy. I don't know if you knew that, but 70 is less than 30. Or sorry, 70 is more. 30 is less than 70 is how I meant to say it. So
you wrote it wrong too. You said it wrong and you wrote it wrong.
Wow, that's a booster right there.
Well, last I checked, and
30,
I did pass math class. 70 is less than 30.
I passed math, but I didn't pass English. That's my problem. I don't know how to speak it. But 30 is less than 70.
That's fine.
Everyone knows what I mean. So I'm going under. I'm going to have confidence. JC Jackson, zone coverage, guys like that, not let him get yards after the catch. I'm going there. We've talked about it. It's been a staple of this show, especially with the conditions. Damian Harris over 54.5 rushing yards. He's averaging 58.5. Kind of been down on his average since the Jets game and the Chargers game. And then, he ended up missing one, right? Yeah, he missed one.
Cleveland, he missed.
Yeah, Cleveland. Yep. So he missed a game, and then 56 and 40 yards against Atlanta and Tennessee. So 54.5 yards.
I don't love this because I think Ramondre will have a solid game, but I'm gonna go with the over, because if they need to win this football game, he needs to have over that for yardage. Unless Ramondre takes the reins and he has like 80 yards or something like that, then that's a different story. But I think for them to win this football game, I think Damian Harris needs to have at least 54.
All right, I'm going with the over also. I think that Damian Harris is a guy, and I think that you give him 12 touches and Ramondre 12, or both of them, 14, 15 touches, split at 50-50 or close to, that they can easily get 50 yards, and they can, easily get 100 too. So I'm going to go with the over here. I have confidence in this ground game getting going after last week. Next up, I just have Buffalo rushing total. This is Josh Allen. This is all their rushing game. This is total. I have them at 103.5 or 103.5 rushing yards for the game. They've been averaging about 114 this year.
I'm going to go over because conditions and Josh Allen is his escapability. I think they're going to have to run the football more than they want to. And I think Josh Allen, if nobody's open downfield, he can create plays with his legs. And I think he could have 30 of those rushing yards by himself or more because that's just the kind of player he is. And he's hard to bring down. And if we had a guy like Kyle Duggar, I'd probably go under because I feel a lot better about his ability to stop the run with this team and also be a guy that can stop the quarterback. If Josh Allen is running face-to-face with Kyle Duggar, I know Josh Allen's a big dude, but Kyle Duggar is one guy that can stop him right in his tracks as a high-speed, high-flying safety. So I'm going to go with over on this one, but hopefully it's under because if it's under, then hopefully we won the football game.
Is Jamie Collins back this week?
He is practicing. He's eligible to return. He has a 21-day window to become activated. So by Sunday, we have to know because they'll have to activate him by then. That is kind of also an addition that we haven't really talked about, and he could be a guy that could kind of be the Kyle Duggar replacement. He's not as speedy, not as athletic, but he's a guy who's more of an athletic linebacker in the box that can be a factor, maybe stopping Josh Allen and those aspects. So that is one thing that we haven't talked about yet. Yes, he is eligible to return. We'll see health-wise if that lets him, but he's eligible to return.
I'm going to go under then. I think that Jamie Collins can counteract if he's in the game and he's playing sort of a spy guy, or you mentioned it, he's athletic. He can get to Josh Allen as he scrambles. So I'm going to go under here. I think it's close, but I'm going to go under. New England gave up so many rushing yards last week. That's going to be something they're going to harp on and they're going to be better at this week, I hope. So Dawson Knox, tight end that we've talked about on the show. He's been doing great things this year. I have him at 42.5 yards for the game. He's averaging 46 yards on the season per game. So 42.5.
I'm going to go over because I just dropped him last week in fantasy and he had 2 touchdowns. So I'm going to say he probably does something similar. Probably he has yardage this time instead of touchdowns and does well. But I just think, like I talked about, Kyle Duggar being out. Without Duggar, and even with Duggar early in the year, we struggled against tight ends. Last year, that was one of our biggest holes. We had some no-name tight ends burn us and hurt us bad. Against the Broncos, they had a couple tight ends that kind of were no names. It wasn't Noah Fant, but that's been a struggle for this team. And if we take away Diggs, put a bunch of attention on him, somebody else is going to have to eat. And I think Dawson Knox could be the recipient of that, especially if Duggar's out and we kind of have Juwan Williams or maybe Wade or somebody else on him. I think he could be the beneficiary of that.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the over 2 because if Diggs isn't getting his, they got to go to someone else. And I think that this is going to be a Dawson Knox, not a Dawson Knox game where he's going to eat, but he's going to have to take on some of this pass catching, yardage wise, not just being a red zone threat if Stephon Diggs isn't getting his. So let's move on. Jonnu Smith, I know that he hasn't done much this year, but he had a little bit of a breaking out game. I mean, not massive production receiving wise, no touchdown, but we saw him get the ball early. We saw him get it on play action passes, yards after the catch. So I have him at 35.5 yards on the day. He's currently averaging 23.5, but he did have 49 last week. So do they continue to get Jonnu Smith involved and continue to get him the ball in open space?
I'm going to go with yes. I'm going to go with the over for him. I have to have some confidence that he can get things rolling because I was so excited when we signed him, and he was my first jersey that I got for the Patriots new guys, and there's a reason for that. I was extremely excited about what he could do and what he could provide to this offense, and I think if we utilize him correctly, he's going to be a big feature in this offense, and he can provide a lot of mismatches. We saw last week, one of the best things that the Patriots did last week, some of the effective plays that they had. They've been doing a lot of toss cracks one way or the other, and we've had Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith as kind of the guys on that left side, and then Hunter Henry comes in motion, and then he's usually the crack guy, and he has a crack block on one of the either corners or linemen or whatever to set that edge and let our running back go around him. And this week we had the same type of look. Hunter Henry came in motion, faked like he was going to crack block, and then Jonnu Smith slipped out in the backfield and ran kind of a crosser across the middle of the field, and Mack Jones threw it over a linebacker and hit him in stride, and he created after the catch. That's a thing that he can do. Hunter Henry is a little bit slower. He might not have been able to get into space as quickly and have as many yards after the catch. So that's something that it looks better because you'll buy it more because there's 2 tight ends on that side of the field. So it's like, okay, they got some weight on that side of the field. A toss crack would be a play that you'd run with 2 tight ends on that left side of the field. You know what I mean? So having a guy like Jonnu who's versatile, but's not a wide receiver they'll think of it, okay, 2 tight ends, but all right, Jonnu's kind of more athletic. He can kind of be a wide receiver at times, like a bigger wide receiver, and great after the catch. So I think he provides a lot of versatility in this offense. And if we can continue to use him, I think he could have a good game.
I agree. I'm going with the over. I like him continuing, and we need him to, especially in a game like this where pushing the ball downfield might be limited. Get the ball to him, at the line of scrimmage, just pass it, let him make some plays. All right, Thursday night football. It's going on right now. We did make these picks before. Cowboys Saints. Cowboys 6.5 point favorites. I went with the Cowboys covering this. What's the score right now? Is it still 20-10 or?
Let me see. It is 27-17 final.
Okay, so Cowboys covered this, right. So we both get this one right, and I promise you guys, we wouldn't lie to you. We wouldn't lie to you.
We wouldn't.
We would never do that. Dallas is 8-3 against the spread anyways. We would have just looked at our spread predictor and chose that. So
exactly.
Come on. New Orleans is what? Where are they?
And they're beat up. No Kamara.
Yeah.
They're missing Taysom 2 tackles.
Where is New Orleans? Am I tripping?
Oh, there they are. 5-6.
5-6. So, we definitely would have went with Dallas. But moving on. Chargers, Bengals, 1:00 game. Bengals, 3-point favorite. Bengals coming off a massive win. Big time divisional win against the Steelers. So Bengals at home, 3-point favorite.
I like them to win this game and cover. I think they're going to ride the wave a little bit of what they did last week against a divisional opponent. Chargers have kind of been on the down. Bengals have been on the up. So strictly kind of what's been going on recently. I'm going to say the Bengals win this football game. Also, Joe Mixon playing really well, getting a ton of carries, ton of touches, and this Chargers defense can't stop the run that well. So they also got Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, those guys, Tyler Boyd. So I like what Cincy's doing right now, and Joe Burrow's playing some good football.
Yeah, this one's tough because I feel like every time everyone wants to start believing in the Bengals, they have a letdown game. They go out, they beat the Ravens, then they lose to the Jets, and then they lose to the Browns. Oh, wait, sorry. Oh, yeah, and then lose, and then they come back, and then they beat the Raiders, and they beat the Steelers. And so I don't know. They have been very impressive at certain games. They lost to Chicago week 2. They've beaten Pittsburgh both times. So I'm torn on this one. I'm going to go. I picked Justin Herbert to be my MVP guy at the start of the year on my own podcast. And it doesn't look like that's going to happen, but I'm going to go with Justin Herbert. The Chargers got to get something rolling. A lot of people had them at contenders in the Super Bowl before they went on by and early in the year when they were beating, Kansas City, and they barely lost to Dallas. They beat the Bengals, or they beat the Browns. They beat the Raiders, and then they go on a 2-game skid where they lose to the Ravens, go on by, then lose to us, and they've kind of haven't been the same since. But they got to get back on track. I'm going to go here, big game, where the Chargers get back. So I'm going to go Chargers covering and winning here. 4:05, Washington at the Raiders. Raiders 1.5 point favorites. Washington on a 3-game winning streak. Do they keep this up? What's your pick?
I don't love it. I got the Raiders and cover in this one. Especially, I don't know. Seattle was so bad last week, and Washington still barely beat them. I know the Raiders aren't exactly the hottest football team in the world right now, but I don't know. I think this is a game where Washington might have a little bit of a letdown. They've kind of been riding a little win streak and playing some decent football, but I don't know. I just like the Raiders in this one at home to cover.
All right, I'm going to continue to pick opposite of you. It worked last week. Maybe it will work this week. I'm going to go with Washington here. Their defense finally coming into form like we thought it would, and forcing turnovers. Head. Yeah, you're right. Sorry. Hey, what? No. I don't know. I don't believe in either of these teams. This might be a crapshoot, but I'm going to go with Washington. They're hot. They're, at least in conversation for a playoff spot right now. they want to keep it up. I know the Raiders are too, but when you look at the AFC pitcher compared to the NFC pitcher, it's a lot harder to get in those wild card spots with the Raiders record at what it is right now compared to the NFC pitcher with Washington. So I'm going to go with Washington here. All right, 425. Ravens at Steelers, a big one. Steelers have not looked good the past couple weeks. So who do you got here?
I got the Ravens winning and covering again. Especially if we win this football game, then it's going to be the same thing as the Browns game. Ravens going to win, and we're going to be second place still. So if we win the game and the Ravens win, then I get this right. If they lose, then I'm happy because the Patriots would be the 1 seed. So I'm going to go with the Ravens on this one. Steelers looked awful. Not that the Ravens didn't, because they did as well, but I look for the Ravens to probably clean it up a little bit. I don't really believe in either of these teams, but if I had to believe in one more than the other, it's probably going to be Lamar Jackson's young age and not Ben Roethlisberger's 95-year-old body right now.
Yeah. 3-game skid for the Steelers. They tied against Detroit, that was such a bad game. And then they lost to the Chargers, and then got dismantled by the Bengals. So I'm going to go with the Ravens here covering too. I hate to say it, but when New England wins and then Baltimore wins, I guess that we'll say the 2 seed. That's fine, but I'm going to go with Baltimore covering.
Yeah, I am as well. Rune Dog, what's up? Listen, this Monday, I'm saying it's a dub. No Trey White. He was the heart of that defense. I do agree. I think that is a big loss. And you hate to see guys out for the year, but Pats have owned Allen except for this. Whoa, jeez.
I hit a button. My bad.
Pats have owned Allen except for the fraud year. Yeah, last year was tough, but I don't know. Allen is playing good football. He's not playing as well as he was last year, but he's still a really talented guy. And you could see Belichick's praise for him and respect was a lot higher this year than it was last year. So I do think he's definitely a problem, and it's not going to be an easy game by any means. I think the Trey White injury is huge. I think that losing Duggar is big. I don't think it's nearly as big as losing Trey White, but it's definitely they're both big losses, and it's going to be interesting to see how the defense on both sides steps up with their missing pieces.
For sure. All right, Niners at the Seahawks. Seahawks, yuck. Niners have been yuck too, but not as bad. They're on a 3-game win streak right now. Big one against the Rams a couple weeks ago. So who do you got here? Niners, Seahawks.
Yeah, I don't love these because the NFL this year has been so up and down. Like any team you think is a guaranteed win, like you never know. There's been so many big upsets that just come out of nowhere. So I've been kind of picking the obvious ones this week, and I'm going to continue with that with the Niners. I just feel like Seahawks are playing so bad, and the Niners are at least a little bit more in the playoff run than the Seahawks. Seahawks basically would have to win out and also have some games fall their way to make the playoffs. So I don't love their chances. They've been playing really bad football, and I don't know. It was ugly last week. It was really ugly. So I'm going to go with the Niners on this one, but I don't love that there haven't really been any upsets, and it's tough, but I'm going to go Niners.
Yeah, poor Seahawks. I felt bad. Russell Wilson has not been, he hasn't been himself this year, especially after the injury. But I'm going to go with the Seahawks. I'm going to go with the upset right here at Seattle. Place is going to be bumping or not. Maybe the fans gave up on them, but I don't think they did. The 12th man's going to come in. Maybe this is a Jimmy G day where he just chokes and throws 3 picks, and Russell Wilson gets cooking to Tyler Lockett, and we'll see. So I don't know. I don't feel comfortable with it, but we'll just go with the Seahawks to stay different. And then we'll finish up here. Sunday night football. This game got flexed to Sunday night. Broncos at Chiefs. Chiefs 9.5-point favorite. Gosh, it seems so big. Seems massive.
Huge margin, especially for Sunday night football. I'm going to have the Broncos cover, even though we're going to come back on Monday or whatever, Thursday, Wednesday, whenever we are on reviewing the picks. And I'm going to say, I knew I should have picked Kansas City again. I bet against them again, and they probably will cover. But I'm gonna go with the Broncos on this one and say go with the trend of Broncos kind of covering. They're much more of a cover team. They are 6-5 compared to the Chiefs 4-7. So the odds are a little bit more in Denver's favor on that side. And it's a big spread on Sunday Night Football with some really close games. So I'm gonna go with Broncos on this one, even though their quarterback situation and their offense really isn't anything too special. But I mean, overall, their defense is playing well. Chiefs are kind of on the come up, and I could see this as being a game where they say, okay, Chiefs are back and they blow them out. But I'm gonna hope the Broncos cover. Hopefully they win too, but I got the Chiefs winning, Broncos covering.
Yeah, I'm going Broncos covering too. The Chiefs have only covered one spread past 6 points, and that was against the Eagles, which was 7. They lost. The Packers won against 7, even though they won the game. They didn't cover the Giants one that was 10.5. They didn't cover the Browns one, which was 5.5. So they get these big spreads, but they don't seem to cover. That's why they're bought against the spread. They're 4-7, which is tied for like second worst in the NFL. There's the Jets who are 3-8, and then there's 6 teams with the Chiefs that are 4-7. So I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna agree with you. I'm gonna go with the Broncos. I'm sick of picking these big. I mean, I feel like 5 or 6 is a big spread for a divisional game on Sunday Night Football, just points wise, and let alone 9.5. And Denver's looked decent. Hopefully, Teddy Bridgewater's okay to play and healthy, but let's go with them covering this.
Yeah, and the only thing I don't love is it's at Chiefs, so that's obviously not great. But key injuries, let's see. Injury report this week, just want to go over real quick. Brandon Bolden and Gunner, both limited. Same with Trent Brown, David Andrews, Christian Barmore, Hightower, Bentley, and Nick Folk. So I think the new ones were Gunner and Brandon Bolden. I don't think those were on the injury report before this past game. So those are new. Trent Brown still with a calf injury. He had an interview yesterday and said some days are better than other. He's just kind of dealing with it. So doesn't seem like he's really fully healthy. Hopefully he can play this week, get through the bye week, and have a little extra rest to make it out the last stretch and hopefully a little playoff run. That'd be nice. But as far as
some days are better than others. It just depends on if I want to get off my fat butt and do something. That's what I heard he said.
We will not tolerate Trent Brown hate on this podcast.
Oh, okay.
We do not.
Trent Brown hate from me, right?
We do not do that here.
It can only come from you.
No, I agree with you there. That's yeah. We'll get into that another day. But Bills fullback Reggie Gilliam, ankle injury, did not participate. Cole Beasley had a rest day. He didn't participate, so he's probably going to be fine. Defensive tackle Star
Lotalele.
He
grew up in Utah, Utah University boy. Star Lotalele.
Illness limited.
His cousin, I don't know if you remember this, a couple years ago, Silver Salinga played on the Super Bowl team against the Seahawks. He was a defensive tackle. That's his cousin. But
oh, really?
I only know that because they grew up in Utah and that's where I'm from. So weird connection, but yeah.
Small world in Utah over there.
It's a lot of cousins.
And then
it's like Alabama of the West.
Of the West, exactly.
It's Alabama of the West.
And then Matt Milano, linebacker with a shoulder injury, he was limited. So Bills are pretty healthy. I don't think anybody's going to miss that game for them. As far, obviously, Tre'Davious White, that's one thing. But overall, they're pretty healthy. We got a couple guys that are going to be questionable. He loves his Big Macs. He protects Big Mac. That's true. He has spoken very highly of Mack Jones, but I wish he'd eat a couple less Big Macs and maybe do a couple more walking around the loops over there and get some exercise for that calf, stretch it out so we can play and be healthy for an entire year. But it is what it is. Maybe it was a freak injury, but calf strain day to day turned into way too long, and we've been frustrated about that. Well, I know I have, at least for quite some time. But when he's been on the field, he's been great. So hopefully he can continue to stay on the field and get healthy after that bye week. And obviously, I think it's going to be something he manages the rest of the year, but hopefully he can at least play through it and play well. So that's what I'll say about that.
Yep. Well, that's it for me. I don't got anything else. Patriots, big game, Monday Night Football in Buffalo. Excited to watch it. Meaningful football. We've said this a lot in December. It's exciting to be back and have this young team be scratching the surface of their potential. So I'm excited for it. Enjoy the game Sunday and then be biting your fingernails off or wearing an Apple Watch to test your heart rate all Monday until the game, because that's what I'll be doing.
It's going to be a long day. Monday is going to be long, nerve-wracking day. But, I mean, this is all we can ask for is meaningful football in December, January area. That's what we're getting right now, and it's exciting. It felt like last year there was a long road ahead before we were back to this point, and seeing it turn around this quick is extremely impressive. And we'll get into this more if we do end up pulling it off and winning on Monday. But if you look at it, I know you could do this every year. I know you can pick a game. Oh, I should have won this, should have won that. But you think about it, there were 3 different games, Dolphins, Bucks, and Cowboys, that we really could have and probably should have won if we played sound fundamental football, didn't turn the ball over, and just took advantage of some opportunities. Those are all 3 games we could have really won, and this team would have been, 11-1, 11 or 10-2 right now. That's insane to think about. This team, 1 year removed from 7-9, all this talent added, rookie quarterback, could end up being the 1 seed, and could right now, if they played a couple games a little bit better, could be the runaway 1 seed right now going into a divisional game against Buffalo could have been a 3-4 game lead in the division. And that's just insane to think about. Obviously 8-4 versus 7-4. So we're only up half a game right now, but this is a huge game. You want to win the division. You want to put a statement out there, say we're back. Nothing better than going into Buffalo's home, shutting up all those Bills fans and saying, hey, this is our division. You had 1 year and that's it. So I'm excited. I hope that's what happens. I can't wait. I can't wait to hear, hopefully, Bills Mafia crying, but hopefully that's how the game turns out. It's going to be a heck of a game, though. It's going to be super fun to watch. Everybody's going to be tuning in. Monday Night Football, all eyes on the TV, divisional game, 8-4, 7-4. Whoever wins is the division leader after this week. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be a really fun football game.
Yep, I'm excited for it to happen. Can't wait, and go Patriots.
Go Pats. All right. Well, that's it for us tonight, guys. Thanks for tuning in. The people who did and commenting all that stuff. We appreciate it. All you guys. And are we Monday night or Tuesday?
Probably Monday night. We'll make it quick. Just a normal pregame show with the good, bad, and the injured, and probably get out after a win and go celebrate it with whatever you want to do, some sleep. Because it'll be a late night. I say. If we win that football game, we have the podcast. I am going to be celebrating with some snoozing right on my pillow because it's going to be late. I probably won't be done till 1 a.m. over here in the East Coast. So, yeah, but we'll be Monday night, hopefully back on here celebrating a victory with you guys, and hopefully you guys can tune in and comment your thoughts and how it feels to be back atop the division. So that's what we'll hope for. Go Pats, and we will see you guys Monday night.
Thanks for listening to this edition of the Patriots Drive podcast. Follow us on social media to stay up to date with all things New England Patriots. Make sure you tune in to the next episode and check out patriotsdrive.com for more great content.
We're on to Cincinnati.